The hot hatch category is one of my favourite performance car groups of them all. Always hugely competitive, and never more than by the German marques over the last 10 or so years that have now created what I would call the super hatch. From Audi, it was the RS3. From Volkswagen, it was the Golf R. From Mercedes, it was the A45 AMG. All turbocharged, four-wheel drive, high-power, high-performance hot hatches. And then BMW delivered this. But instead of going four-wheel drive, they stayed at the heart of what BMW do so well, rear-wheel drive. And they developed this, the M140i. And this week, I'm taking a look at this super hatch to see how good this 2, 3, 4-year-old 140i's are now in 2023. Let's take a look. I can't wait. Welcome to Fast and Fun. So the M140i's in either 5-door, the F20, or 3-door, the F21, were only built between 2016 and 2019. And at the heart of the M140 was, without any shadow of a doubt, the engine. The famous B58 3-litre straight-six turbocharged engine driving the rear wheels, producing 335 brake horsepower, 370 pound-feet of torque. But the key thing with this, not only was it monstrous power, but it was the ability to tune that B58 engine. And with some very simple mods and remaps, you could get some serious power. It was mated. You could buy manual, but the way this B58 drives, most selected the 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox, feeding those rear wheels. I suppose the one weakness with the M140, the well-publicised weakness, was its lack of having a limited slip differential on the rear. So these one-wheeled skids down the road has led to a fair few category cars amongst the sales adverts for M140s. But that was because it was the M part, the half an M car. The M cars, the pure M cars, did have LSDs. This 140, because it was only partial M car, they didn't come as standard with a limited slip diff. But it's not insurmountable to get one fitted aftermarket, and they're not actually that expensive. And this one comes completely standard as well. So everything you see here, other than a few very subtle Manxton splitters and spoilers, this is how they left the factory. And that's relatively rare for 140s, as they're so tunable and they do attract the younger drivers. They are certainly quite a few of them you'll find that are modified. Let's take a look around the car and pick out some of the key features of the 140i. This one is the Shadow Edition, so quite a popular edition was the Shadow Edition. It came not with any sort of big mechanical differences, but it did come with a fair few nice touches really. Tinted lights at the front and windows. This black kidney grille here is part of the Shadow Edition as well. You can see at the bottom, this one's got fitted, this Manxton splitter. Just adds, in this white colour, just adds it, makes it a bit, sort of that little bit more aggressive in its nature. It rides on 18-inch wheels. The Shadow Edition, it also came with things like the exhaust tips as well, and hardened carbon stereo, and a few other tasty options. If you look down the side of the car, these fabulous looking wing mirrors here, you can see how they actually don't touch at the top, which is absolutely brilliant, really aero looking, just look a little bit special. On the side of the car, it's got the M Performance side skirts as well, running down the back. Part of the Manxton pack as well is this rear roof or high tailgate spoiler, tinted out rear windows, and then at the back it's got twin exhaust. You can tell here with this carbon wrap on the exhaust tips there, part of this the shadow pack, and it's, again, this one's got the diffuser from Maxton as well. These are super popular cars as well. There's quite a cult following with the M140s, probably because of their tunability as well, and it's such a competitive market, this German super hatch war really, with Mercedes, Audi, BMW, Volkswagen. They're all going at each other here, fully committed to create these cars, just providing so much power. If we look at the back, we see the famous Hofmeister kink here. Many BMWs have had for years and years this Hofmeister kink. And so rear passenger space, obviously being a 1 Series, being based on the F20, this one, but full leather interior. It's not, I think it's quite reasonable. For a small-ish family hatch, there's quite a degree of practicality there in the back seats. If we go and look in the boot as well, again, being hatch, you get a lot more versatility. This one's got a, I don't know if these came as standard or not, actually, one of the nets there to strap things down. And then if you lift up, there's the massive battery in the back of the, under the boot there. But that's a really good sized boot, split folding rear seats as well. So if you take out your parcel shelf, drop your rear seats, you've got a really good load bay there for family living. And that's I think one of the things with these cars, you can drive these absolutely every day, you can commute in them, do your daily driving, but then when you want a bit of fun, you can absolutely get it. Looking inside here, I suppose my first observations when you look into the side is it's just, yes, it's BMW, but it doesn't really say anything that tells you you're in one of the premium brands, one of the premium performance cars from the 1 Series. I mean, the M badging is very subtle, a little bit there on the bottom of the steering wheel, and as you step in over the sill, the M140 badging. But otherwise, there's not a lot telling you there. There's the bright red start-stop for your engine, but that's largely it. Traditional dials that BMW do so well. If we have a quick look under the bonnet, it's a double click bonnet, big old bonnet. BMW have moved to these 2 catch bonnets, but they have got these struts in place. That means you don't need to be messing around with holding it up. So, and there you go, the M Performance 6-cylinder 3-litre turbo. As I say, there's not a lot, like most modern cars, you can't see much in there, but I'm intrigued to know how the stats look good for this car, but how does it put that power down? Don't forget, I drove a 440i around about 5 or 6 weeks ago on the channel, which I'll put a link up to above, and that's the same engine, and that was in a much heavier convertible 440. This one being much lighter and smaller and more compact. Be intriguing to see how this goes. Okay, that's enough of me talking. Great day, dry weather. Let's take it out on some of my favourite roads and see how this M140 drives. Okay, so here we are in the 140i, quite a way back, so it's a keyless go apparently. So, foot on the brake, just turn the radio off. Nice, muscular sound from the twin tailpipes. It's a very hot day today, so we'll just get that down on a bit colder. Seating, just get my seat. The steering wheel is both adjustable up and down and backwards and forwards as well, so you should be able to get yourself a pretty good driving position. BMW normally absolutely nail the driving positions on these. Traditional gauges. This is the version before they moved to the ones with the sort of the 50p coin hexagonal looking dials. So two very traditional dials, right hand side with the rev counter going up to 7,000 RPM and the speedo on the left going up to 160. That the infotainment system clearly visible with regard to the screen, but predominantly driven by the traditional iDrive system that BMW have become renowned for. Leather clad, big, large, flappy paddles down. We'll see how they drive later. And then, other than a little M140 just below the rev counter, no real other test to show you that, or no other visual clue to show you that you're in something a little bit above a standard 120 car. Turbocharged, so again, it's not a screaming 8,500 line, say down at 7, probably 6.5. That may be where most of the pull's been done, because it'll be the torque of that turbocharged unit. But otherwise, visibility looks great. Still love those wing mirrors, they're really, really nice touches. Three predominant settings. Standard is comfort, it then goes into eco or into sport. You've also got Sport Plus, which will limit and take some of the traction control off, but I don't think everything. But if you take and put your finger on traction control and leave it on, it will come up with warnings saying you've completely removed traction control. Okay, let's journey out, get the car warmed up, and then let's see what it's like. So my initial impression as I trundle carefully through the village is how unbelievably quiet this car is. It is just, revs are at about 1500 RPM. It's just in full auto at the moment, in the standard setting that the car leaves in, sort of normal or comfort, I think it's called. And it is hush quiet. You really wouldn't think this had anything special in the car at all. Just even that under light acceleration, the exhaust is so quiet. So we're just going to get to the 60 mile an hour point here. I'm doing about 35. It's about 1,000 RPM, so literally ticking over. Accelerate, bit of a kick down, and you're at 60 very, very quickly. That was almost, dare I say, boring, because we went from 35 to 60 so quickly. I think don't underestimate, and that was just, there wasn't a great bit of noise. There was a bit of a kick down from the gearbox. We've got straight to 60, not much sound, not much excitement or thrill. It was just effortless, and suddenly we're at national speed limit. Really, really stealthy. I expected a bit more vocal noise, a bit more, I don't know, rush. Unbelievably refined. Dare I say at the moment, a little bit too unrefined, but we are still in comfort. We're not in sport yet, so I will flick it into sport next and just feather that accelerator just to see what that sport button does before we push it into Sport Plus. Because the 140s are such a modern tech car, they are incredibly fuel efficient, and when Aaron was telling me on some of the forums, some of the MPGs you can get on a steady journey, well over 40, mid-40s is easily doable in one of these, which is quite incredible when you think of the power that this can put out. So we're just going to come to a left-hand junction here. So I'm just going to go down, flick it into sport. A little bit of a kick from the engine, but not too much. I'm going to keep it in auto though here. up to 6,000 lift off because you're well above the national speed limit there. This car's got some serious mid-range torque through that turbo engine. I know the B58 is a cracking engine. These 3-litre straight 6 turbo engines. When I drove the 440i about a month ago, and I'll put a link up there to that video, one of the highlights of that car for me was the engine. It's an absolute monster. Well, that was 350 kilograms heavier than this. This coming in about 1,450 kg gives it some real straight line performance. Make no mistake, this is a monster engine. The other surprise for me, going along here at 60 miles an hour, only 2,000 RPM, you can feel a bit of a sporty ride. There's a little bit of firmness to it, but it's very comfortable, very usable. You're not getting banged and knocked to the side, not at all. You feel like you could take your grandma in this car and she'd just think it rides as well as any other car. The damping's very good. Slightly on the firm side, but nothing what I was expecting. I expected something more hardcore than this. Steering is actually quite heavy. Like a lot of modern cars, like the 440 I drove, not giving you heaps of feedback at all. It all feels a little bit false to me. And I do like a little bit of weight to the steering, but this feels, maybe just a little bit too heavy. What BMW do really well though is insides, and it is a really nice place to be. The seats are supremely comfortable. I just feel like I've collapsed in them. The grippy enough, the quality of the materials, the logic. I've only been in the car for an hour. You know where the buttons are straight away. I'm not delving around trying to find the heater controls. It's all very logical. The steering wheel feels really nice. The flappy paddles are just in the right place. And it all feels like this is going to last this car years and years. Just as we come out, this is a really uneven bit of road that we're going to go up. I'm just going to knock it into manual, so that you just literally slide the gear shift to the left. Tap the gear shift now, so I'm in, drop it down into third gear, second gear now, give it acceleration, into third, into fourth, some undulations here in the road, really test that suspension. Here, a real big compression there, he rides it so well. Paddles, they're nice, they're big, again, knocking you from side to side, but it's really compliant. So much more compliant than I thought. So we're just making us way down to one of my favourite bits of road down here. I'm just going to put it into, sport, and then if you want it in sport, press it up again, you get into Sport Plus. So you get the dynamic stability controls off, the light comes on just warning you, although it's not fully off unless you properly disengage it, which I'm not going to do, so I do want some form of safety net. And I'll also put it into manual now, and I'll drop it into second gear. So second gear, about 3,000 revs, just see what this is like then. And just feel what it's through these corners. You don't really need to rev it out because of that torquey engine. Quite a lot of badly surfaced here at times. Second gear. Just so quick third there, just hold it in third. Again, heavy on the brakes, knock it into second. The gear changes are absolutely instantaneous. I'm just not confident enough to really push the car here. Into fourth, kicks again. Again, down into third. Yeah, I've just got nothing coming back. Steering, nothing, no feedback at all. It's all completely artificial to myself. I just don't know where to push. Haven't got the confidence to push. But my God, is it quick? I am definitely a manual person over automatics or Tiptronics or DSGs or whatever, the PDKs or whatever manufacturers call them, because I do think having that third pedal gives you more engagement. But I also think that certainly as a daily driver, this 8-speed gearbox is actually brilliant. It really is. It makes the changes seamless. The flappy paddles are in the right spot. It enables you to keep both hands on the steering wheel. It just makes daily ability with stop-start driving that much easier. And actually, it may take a little bit of the engagement with the car away, but it'd be a touch and go. For a pretty hardcore manual guy, I would be absolutely tempted to get one of these in auto, because I think it suits the car's nature better than probably a manual does. So I'm going to go back up my favourite road now. I'm going to keep it in Sport Plus. So again, most of traction control is off. Dynamic stability control, I think BMW would call it. But I'm going to keep it in auto this time. I want to see what the gearbox does in regard to how it makes you feel. So again, 2,000 revs, 20 miles an hour. Accelerate, kicks down. Oh, it's ferocious acceleration. You feel the car squirming on the rear wheels, trying to put the power down. On the brakes here, how does the car handle here? Does it know what gear to be in? The advantage the gearbox has got is this engine's such a monster from pretty much any revs that it's got that on its side, because the engine will overcome any shortcomings. But the gearbox is doing a pretty good job so far. It's just very muted, the noise. It's a bit louder now in Sport Plus, but it's still quiet, and that for me would definitely be an upgrade you'd want. You want to tell people you're in something a bit sporty. So what's my summary of the car now? As the light's starting to fade on the way back home, well, what a cracking time I've had in the M140i, and it's a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a real split personality. You've got the everyday practicality of a 5-door hatchback, you've got space in the back, you've got a decent sized boot. You can use this very much every day. It's got a chassis that's very refined. It's very quiet with regard to the engine. It's not obnoxious in any sort of loud way, and it feels well built and premium. Does it feel special? Well, you put it into Sport Plus and you bring alive that B58 3-litre turbo engine, and it is an absolute monster. And to tell you the truth, it's well suited to the 8-speed ZF auto gearbox. It suits the nature of the car, and it becomes a bit of an animal. It becomes more vocal, not so much inside, but certainly from the outside. Its performance in a straight line is phenomenal. It really is, and it's really worthy of that M badge at the front. I suppose the little bit of couple of disappointments. One is the steering, the lack of feel. It's really null and void. It just doesn't give me confidence to start pushing on. Maybe in time you learn the limits of the car, but truthfully, it felt a little bit nervous. I felt a little bit edgy because I just didn't know what was going on with regard to the car's ability and traction and ability to put that power down. And I suppose even though as a daily car, that exhaust, it just feels a little bit too quiet. It's a little bit too muted. It sounds actually better on the outside listening to the car, but from inside, even in Sport Plus, it's a bit of a letdown, to tell you the truth. But that's easily fixed. Get an aftermarket exhaust on that car. The power is more than enough. and suddenly you've got a really, really compelling car. And the one thing I like above anything else that just puts it for me that a little bit higher than the RS3 or the Golf R or the A45 AMG, well, it's a 6-pot for a start, and it's rear-wheel drive. And for me, if it doesn't do anything other than win you the bragging rights in the pub, that'll do. I've enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Aaron's got a cracking car here, and I've loved every second of today. Hope you have too. If you enjoyed it, as always, please thumbs up, subscribe, stay tuned. Another video next week. Thanks for watching, guys.